Hi. Today we're going to talk about field guides. Creating your own field guide is something I absolutely love to do. We do it in the classroom, and I've done it with my own children at home. One of the ones that we did at home with my own two kids was a creature guide, and that was a lot of fun. So if we find a creature in the wild and it's safe for the creature for us to pick it up, or it's safe for us to pick it up, as long as it's safe for both, then we carefully pick it up and hold it and get a picture with the kids holding it. If it's not safe for the creature for us to pick it up, or it's not safe for us, then we just try to get a picture of it in its natural habitat. We always put it back into its natural habitat if we do pick it up. And a couple of little creatures we've rescued. So one time Ethan rescued a butterfly that's wings had gotten wet and it was going to drown in the ocean. And he was able to get underneath it and then move it to a drier spot, put it into a bush so it had time to hopefully dry out and maybe fly away. So we take pictures of them, we write about them, what they are, what they're doing when we found them. We had a praying mantis one time and we watched it eat a grasshopper. That was very interesting. So we like to make field guides. The field guide that we made with the kindergarten class this year was our poop book. We noticed that when we were going out for walks, there it is, our scoop on poop. When we were going out for walks, we kept coming across piles of animal droppings. And we had a natural curiosity about who left the droppings, what animal was it, how big might that animal be, and then what did we notice? Because we started to notice that a lot of animal droppings look different. So then we started to wonder why it looks different and what did the animals eat, or why does some of it smell and some of it doesn't. And so we had some interesting questions, and we were so interested in animal droppings we decided to make a bigger investigation of it. And every time that we saw some, we took a picture of it. We tried to take a pretty close-up photo, and then we tried to have what did we notice about those droppings. And when we came back to the classroom, we started to write about those droppings. So in this book, we have an example of everyone's writing. So I'm going to read it to you now. Okay, so these were some of the extra ones we found. And it says, "This poo is tiny." Look at how tiny it was. And it says, "We found it by the bushes." And it says, "Can you guess what it was?" It was so hard to see, so tiny. You can see even how big my finger looks there compared to it. So it was so tiny, and we found it by bushes outside. We could hear lots of birds tweeting at the time, so that might give you a bit of a hint. They're a kind of bird that has a feather on the top of their head, and they run around, and they really love running in front of cars. Quail. All right, here is another one. Can you see that one? They're big and round, and they're sometimes called road apples. Do you know what leaves those behind? And this animal, can you see from in there? You can almost see it's very fibery in here. It's very fibery in that poop. So it looks like it eats grass. It's a horse. And this one down here, we found this under a tree. And it's very white and splattery. It's all splattered. That means it must have fallen from way up high. And it's white and kind of liquidy. This animal starts with a B. Bird. It's bird droppings. And then this is a mysterious animal that we saw sitting in an outhouse way up in a tree. This is a little wooden outhouse. It's a frog in an outhouse. So we thought that was a funny joke, and we decided to add that too. Okay. So this page was by Temperance. And that was the animal dropping picture that she chose. You can see it sitting in sand. And this poo is kind of dried. There's some white crystally poos here. And then there's some brown poo beside it. Almost looks like two different animals made it, but only one did. Poop Field Guide Notes by Temperance. This poop is from a bearded dragon. Does it smell bad? No. Tell me about your thinking. Their poop has mealworms in it. And what fact have you learned about this animal poop, Temperance? And she said, the white part of their poop is acid crystals. Isn't that cool? So the white poop is acid crystals. And then the rest of this is just poop. Interesting fact, Temperance. Poop Field Guide Notes by Cole. Can you tell where Cole looked? He looked into a fish tank. And you see these down here? That is the poop. Those long strands, that is the fish poop. This poop is from a fish. Does it smell bad? No. Tell me about your thinking, Cole. It is white. And what facts have you learned about this animal poop, Cole? The white sand in Hawaii is actually fish poop. That was a fact that Cole learned, that there are beaches in Hawaii that is white sand, and we researched it and found that that is all fish poop. It's a fish that eats coral and then poops it out as sand. Wow, good fact. This field guide note is from Red. Now, if you look very carefully at this picture, you will notice we found something amazing in the woods this day. It was a deer leg. Can you see it? So the hoof is here. That's a hoof under that leaf. This is the bottom part of the leg. This is the other part of the leg. And on top of it is poo. And look, there's even more bones there. This was an amazing find that we found. This poop is from a dog on a deer leg. Does it smell bad? Yes. Tell me about your thinking, Red. Why did it poop there? Good question. And what facts have you learned about this animal poop, Red? Dogs mark their territory. So we thought that the dog pooped on the deer leg because he wanted to tell other dogs that was his deer leg. Good fact, Red. These field notes are from Luca. Now this is the picture Luca chose. That is the poop there. Now this poop was so tiny. So tiny. Even if you look, this is like hundreds of poops in one pile right here. And those are the leaves you can see. And see how tiny and squiggly some of the poop is? And then here's more. Squiggle, 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 squiggle. All right. This poop is from a worm. Does it smell bad? No. Tell me about your thinking, Luca. And he said, I wonder if there are seeds in it. Worm poo is good in gardens. And what facts have you learned about this animal poop, Luca? Worm poo is called castings. Good fact. And he says, worms go on hooks for fishing. True. So that is castings from worms. You can find this when you go outside, and if you look carefully at soil, even in the grass, or especially right near a path where the grass kind of ends and then some dirt is there, in gardens sometimes, you will see all little tiny squirted little tiny castings, and that is worm poo. So cool, which is actually soil. It's just dirt. Good dirt. Field guide notes by Rosalie. Rosalie chose this picture. This picture is of a tree trunk, and it has those lines all through it, And then inside those lines, there is animal poop. Cool. This poop is from a beetle. Does it smell bad? No. Tell me about your thinking, Rosalie. It looks like chomped up wood. The tree died. And what facts have you learned about this animal poop, Rosalie? And she said, it is from a leaf beetle. It makes tunnels under the bark. The beetle is black and white. And we realized that the beetle poop is like sawdust. It actually is chomped up wood. So cool. Well, so cool except it killed the tree. Field guide notes by Raylin. Ooh. This is another animal that poops half white and half brown. This poop is from a snake. Does it smell bad? Yes. Tell me about your thinking, Raylin. They eat mice, bunnies. And then look, then she did some printing of her own letters. Good work. And what facts have you learned about this animal poop? And she said, the white is crushed bones. Wow, good fact. The white part is the crushed bones because we know that snakes swallow their prey whole. And then that is the fur and the stuff they didn't digest it. That's the other animal parts. But they separate it somehow in their body. So the snakes have the bones go over here and get crushed up, and the rest of the fur and the other stuff that they eat, and then it comes out as poop on the other end. Amazing. Poop Field Guide Notes by Rain. And this is the poop that Rain decided to write about. Some of you might recognize that. This poop is from a cow. Does it smell bad? Yes. Tell me about your thinking. It is sloppy. It is brown. Oh, and it says it has hay in it. Let's look again. Can you see some hay in it? Sticking out of it? Cool. What facts have you learned about this animal poop, Rain? Cow poop is called manure. It is used as firewood. So in some countries it's used as firewood. And then I think, yeah, she has a picture on the back because we found a really crazy fact. These models are wearing clothing that is made out of cow manure. It doesn't look like poop and it doesn't smell bad. They dry the cow manure and then they're able to turn it into some kind of fibrous material that looks nice and smells nice and clean, but it's actually originated from cow poo. We also saw in a book that some people build their homes out of cow poo in some areas. So cow poo seems to be quite amazing, really. Poop Field Guide Notes by Tesla. And there's a hint about who left this poo by the feather. And if you have grown up in the Okanagan, you know that that poo is from a Canadian goose because you've probably stepped in it if you've grown up in the Okanagan. So the poop is from a Canadian goose. Does it smell bad? No. Tell me about your thinking. Do they eat worms? She said, because they're birds. And can we feed geese bread? And the answer she found out was no. Bread is very bad for geese and ducks, actually. But she found out that we can feed them apples, but not a whole apple. You know, how could they? They don't have teeth. They can't bite into the apple. But if you chop the apple up nice and small, you can sprinkle it out for them, and that is good for them. But I remember Tesla telling me the apple is good, but the seeds are poisonous for them. So they can't eat apple seeds. That's an interesting fact, isn't it? What facts have you learned about this animal poop, Tesla? A goose can poop 2 pounds in one day. They can eat nuts too. So they can eat nuts and apples, not bread, and 2 pounds of poop. Oh my goodness, no wonder we step in it so much down at the beach. Gross. This poop field guide is by Liam. And I think we've all seen that kind of poop before. This poop is from a dog. Does it smell bad? Yes, super stinky, he said. Tell me about your thinking, Liam. It smells because it is fresh. Good thought. What facts have you learned about this animal poop? Dogs can tell who pooped, and if it was a male or a female, and where it walked by smelling. Isn't that interesting? So when a dog smells the other dog's poop, he can then smell the ground and find the footprint trail just with his nose. Even if you can't see footprints, he can smell the footprints because he smelled the poo, so he knows where that dog has gone. That's cool. Good fact, Liam. Poop Field Guide by Emily. And this picture was sent to us by Emily's dad, and that is a normal walkie-talkie. That's not a tiny walkie-talkie for like Barbie dolls or G.I. Joes or I don't know, whatever This is a real live walkie-talkie, nice and big, that fits in a dad's hand, or right? Big. And that is a gigantic pile of poo. So let's find out who made that. This poop is from a grizzly bear. Does it smell bad? And Emily said, it looks like it. Tell me about your thinking, Emily. Daddy took this picture when he was walking in the woods. What facts have you learned about this animal poop, Emily? Bear poo is called scat, and they mark their territory too, just like dogs. They mark their territory too. Good job. And it's called scat. Cool. So now we've heard castings, manure, and scat. Poo. There are lots of words for that. This field guide note is from Cooper. Nice and close. Yes, interesting. This poop is from a bear. Does it smell bad? Yes. Tell me about your thinking. I see seeds and berries in it. Did you notice that too? Yep, there's one. That was a good hint about why this is bear poo. What facts have you learned about poop, Cooper? Bears don't poo. When they are hibernating. So their first poo is big. Wow, good fact. Poop Field Guide notes by Peyton. Can you see that? There's some poop hiding in the grass. This poop is from a dog. Does it smell bad? No. Why not, Peyton? It was dry, he said. Tell me about your thinking. I thought it was bear at first, he said. What facts have you learned about this animal poo, Peyton? Dogs like smelling poop. In England, they call it dog muck. Good fact. Another cool word for poo, dog muck. Ooh, good one. I love it. These are such great. I love this book. You can tell. I love this book so much. Poop Field Guide notes by Lexi. Tiny poop. And here's a hint. Who made it? Someone who likes to chew on things. This poop is from a gerbil. Does it smell bad? Yes. Tell me about your thinking. It is tiny. Lexi, what facts have you learned about animal poop? Poo is called droppings. They can't control their bowels, so they poo everywhere. Good fact, and that's true. I didn't know they couldn't control their bowels. I just thought they went poo a lot all over the place. Because gerbils and mice, they do poo a lot. Poop Field Guide notes by Fred. Ooh, this poo looks shiny. It looks like it was just pooped. This poop is from a deer. Does it smell bad? No. In fact, all of us got right down beside it and did this. And it didn't smell bad at all. Tell me about your thinking. I know they eat grass and plants, said Fred. And Fred, what facts have you learned about this animal poop? Deer poop is called pellets and scat. When they eat leaves, the scat is more round. Cool. So if they eat bark or grasses, their poo gets longer. And if they eat leaves, their poo is nice and round. Well, this poo is nice and round, and it's even on top of leaves. So, Fred, I guess the deer was eating leaves that day. That is very cool. Now, there's a picture in here of Tesla, and I said, Tesla, what are you making? She had Play-Doh out, and she said, deer poo. So I'll show you a picture. I'm going to try to cover up the faces and just show you that she's making deer poo. And then over here I said, Temperance, what are you doing? And she was reading the poo book to the little people in the picture. So I'll show you that. Can you see her? She's reading. Someone's playing in the background, and she's reading this poo book to those little creatures down there. We were pretty excited about this. All right. One of the things that we wrote, we found a funny list of 5 things to remember about poop. Number 1, never touch poop with your hands. Good point. Number 2, don't poop your pants. That's never fun, is it? That's terrible. Number 3, wipe your bottom front to back. Oh, good point. And number 5, don't be a potty mouth. So there you go. That is the fabulous field guide to poop. So I hope that's an inspiration to you. Go into your yard. You can do a field guide on birds. Rosalie was telling me all about the different birds in her yard, and her dad are learning lots of bird names. Tesla was telling me about all the things her mom had planted in the garden. You could do a field guide on the things in your garden. Or you could do a field guide on the different trees that are in your yard or the different bushes. You would be amazed at some of the amazing trees and bushes that are in your yard when you actually stop and look at them. You could do a field guide on what insects stop and visit those plants. And your whole book could be what insects are eating in your yard. You can take pictures of those things, or you can draw little pictures. Where do you find the roly-polies? What are they eating? Where do you find worms? What are they eating? Did butterflies come into your yard? What bushes are they visiting? What about hummingbirds? Are there hummingbirds coming into your yard right now? There are in mine. They're visiting some special flowers and the hummingbird feeders. What kind of birds are visiting your bird feeders? So there's so many things and so many creatures and so many plants just in our own yards. Even if you have a tiny yard or you only have a couple of little things, you probably could find an insect in there, or you could find birds or something coming in or flying by. If your yard is tiny or you're like, I don't know, I can't find anything, go for a little walk in your area. Go down a couple of the little streets with your parents and then take a look and see what insects are you finding along the way. They're out there. But the insects are tiny and quiet because they don't want to get eaten by predators, and they think you are a predator. And maybe you are. I don't know. All right. Have a super great day, and I hope that you go out and make your own field guide. Have a great day.